there for us. And Sophie, these remarkable pictures we saw of the Countess particularly shaking people's hands in the crowd to thank them for being there.
Absolutely, they really did take the time to meet and greet with the people of Manchester who'd come out to see them. They have actually just driven away just a few moments ago at the end of their visit from Manchester here today. Now, their first part of the visit was at the Central Library.
For years, one royal figure seemed determined to stay above the noise. While headlines exploded across newspapers, television screens, podcasts, and social media platforms around the world, Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, remained remarkably quiet. In an era when every royal gesture is analyzed and every public appearance is dissected, Sophie's silence became one of the most intriguing stories within the modern monarchy. She rarely responded to controversy. She avoided public feuds. She focused on duty, charity work, and representing the crown. Yet sometimes silence can become louder than words, and many royal watchers now believe that Sophie's actions, expressions, and carefully measured comments may reveal more than any dramatic interview ever could. The story surrounding Meghan Markle and the British royal family has fascinated audiences for years. Ever since Meghan married Prince Harry and entered royal life, discussions about her relationship with the institution have dominated global headlines. Supporters viewed her as a modernizing force who challenged traditions and brought fresh perspectives. Critics argued that her approach clashed with centuries-old expectations. Between those opposing viewpoints stands a complicated story involving personalities, pressures, misunderstandings, and competing perspectives. Throughout all of this, Sophie remained largely on the sidelines. Unlike many commentators, she never launched public attacks. She never sat down for tell-all interviews. She never participated in public arguments. Yet because she maintained such a disciplined silence, people became increasingly curious about what she truly thought. Royal observers began studying every public appearance, every interaction, and every subtle moment involving Sophie, Meghan, and other members of the royal family. What makes Sophie's position particularly fascinating is that she understands royal life from a unique perspective. Long before Meghan arrived, Sophie herself experienced the challenges of marrying into the monarchy. When she became part of the royal family, she entered a world governed by traditions, expectations, and intense public scrutiny. Every action attracted attention. Every mistake became a headline. Every adjustment happened under the watchful eyes of millions. Those early years were not always easy. Sophie faced criticism, media pressure, and difficult learning experiences. Like many individuals entering unfamiliar institutions, she had to adapt. She learned how royal duties worked. She learned how to navigate public expectations. Most importantly, she learned how patience and consistency could gradually build trust and respect. Over time, that journey transformed her reputation. What began as a challenging adjustment eventually evolved into one of the monarchy's most respected success stories. Sophie became known as dependable, calm, and dedicated. Senior members of the royal family reportedly valued her discretion and professionalism. As the years passed, she developed a reputation for putting duty ahead of publicity. Because of that experience, many royal commentators have speculated that Sophie may have been uniquely positioned to understand what Meghan was facing when she entered royal life. Both women arrived from outside traditional royal circles. Both had professional careers before joining the family. Both faced enormous public attention. Both encountered expectations unlike anything they had previously experienced. For that reason, stories have circulated for years suggesting that Sophie attempted to offer guidance during Meghan's early days as a royal. While details remain largely private and unconfirmed, the narrative has persisted because it seems logical to many observers. Sophie had already walked a difficult path and emerged stronger. If anyone understood the pressures of royal adaptation, it would have been her. Whether those reported efforts unfolded exactly as described remains known only to the individuals involved. However, the idea itself has become a significant part of the public conversation. Many royal watchers believe that Sophie's experiences could have provided valuable insight for anyone entering the institution. Others argue that every person's circumstances are different, and that comparisons between Sophie and Meghan oversimplify a much more complex reality. As tensions surrounding Harry and Meghan eventually became public, interest in Sophie's perspective only increased. The couple's decision to step back from royal duties marked one of the most significant moments in modern royal history. Suddenly, debates about the monarchy, family relationships, media treatment, and institutional culture dominated international discussion. During that turbulent period, Sophie largely continued her familiar approach. She worked, attended engagements. She supported charitable causes. She avoided public confrontation. Yet the more she remained silent, the more attention people paid to her actions. Some royal commentators began describing Sophie as a symbol of a traditional royal approach. In their view, she represented steady service, gradual adaptation, and loyalty to institutional responsibilities. Meghan, meanwhile, was often portrayed as representing a different perspective, one focused on personal authenticity, independence, and willingness to challenge established systems. Whether those characterizations are entirely fair remains open to debate. Human relationships are rarely as simple as public narratives suggest. Yet those contrasting images became central to discussions about the future of the monarchy. The fascination intensified following the highly publicized interview Harry and Meghan conducted with Oprah Winfrey. The interview generated global headlines and sparked intense reactions across different audiences. Supporters praised the couple for sharing their experiences. Critics questioned various claims and interpretations. The royal family faced one of its most challenging public relations moments in recent memory. In the aftermath, attention turned toward how other royals responded. Most maintained a policy of limited public comment. Sophie was among those who avoided extensive discussion. Yet even brief interactions and light-hearted remarks attracted significant analysis from journalists and royal enthusiasts eager to interpret every possible signal. This is where the idea of Sophie breaking her silence becomes particularly interesting. In reality, Sophie has rarely delivered dramatic statements. Instead, her influence appears to operate through consistency rather than confrontation. Her message, if there is one, seems less about criticism and more about example. Year after year, Sophie has continued performing engagements, supporting charities, meeting communities, and representing the crown. While controversies have come and gone, her public role has remained remarkably stable. For some observers, that stability itself communicates a powerful message. The contrast became even more noticeable during the transition following the death of Queen Elizabeth II. The monarchy entered a new era under King Charles III. Public attention focused on succession, modernization, and the evolving roles of senior royals. Amid those changes, Sophie emerged as an increasingly important figure. Many commentators noted that her responsibilities appeared to expand. Her visibility increased. Her role within the royal structure seemed stronger than ever. This development fueled renewed discussion about her influence behind the scenes and her relationship with key members of the family. What many people find compelling about Sophie is that she rarely appears interested in winning public arguments. In a media environment driven by controversy, she often projects calm restraint. Whether one agrees or disagrees with various royal narratives, that consistency has become a defining characteristic of her public image. Supporters argue that her approach demonstrates patience, discipline, and dedication. Critics may view it differently. But few dispute that Sophie has built a reputation distinct from many modern public figures. She rarely seeks headlines, yet she often earns them. As discussions about Meghan continue, Sophie remains a figure onto whom many observers project broader questions about the monarchy itself. Can centuries-old institutions adapt to modern expectations? How much change is possible without losing tradition? What responsibilities do individuals have when joining long-established organizations? These questions extend far beyond any single relationship. Perhaps that is why stories about Sophie and Meghan continue generating interest. They are not merely about two women. They symbolize larger debates about tradition versus change, adaptation versus independence, and public duty versus personal freedom. The reality is that only those directly involved know the full truth behind private conversations, relationships, and decisions. Public audiences see only fragments of a much larger picture. Headlines capture moments, not complete stories. Interviews reveal perspectives, not absolute truth. Royal commentators offer interpretations, not certainty. Yet despite those limitations, one theme consistently emerges when discussing Sophie. Her reputation has been built not through dramatic declarations but through long-term commitment. Over decades, she transformed herself from a newcomer facing scrutiny into one of the monarchy's most trusted figures. That achievement did not happen overnight. It resulted from years of persistence, learning, and service. If Sophie has indeed communicated anything significant regarding Meghan and the broader royal situation, it may not be contained within a single quote or headline. Instead, it may be reflected in the example she has chosen to set. Rather than responding to every controversy, she has continued focusing on her responsibilities. Rather than entering public battles, she has concentrated on charitable work and official duties. In today's media landscape, where attention often rewards the loudest voices, that approach stands out. Silence can sometimes create curiosity. Restraint can sometimes generate influence. Consistency can sometimes speak more powerfully than confrontation. As the monarchy continues evolving in the years ahead, Sophie's role will likely remain a subject of fascination. Her journey illustrates how public reputations are built gradually through actions rather than moments. Whether discussing Meghan, royal tensions, or the future of the institution itself, Sophie represents a perspective shaped by experience, patience, and long-term commitment. And perhaps that is the truly huge revelation many observers believe they are seeing. Not a shocking confession. Not an explosive accusation. Not a dramatic confrontation. Instead, they see a woman whose decades of quiet service have become a statement in themselves. In a world obsessed with immediate reactions, Sophie's greatest message may simply be the power of staying steady when everything around you seems uncertain. That message continues resonating with royal watchers around the world. Some interpret it as wisdom. Others see it as strategy. Still others view it as evidence of deep personal conviction. Whatever the interpretation, one thing remains clear. Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, has become one of the most intriguing figures in the modern royal story, not because she speaks the loudest, but because people continue listening even when she says very little. As future chapters of the royal family's story unfold, public interest in Sophie, Meghan, Harry, William, and the broader monarchy is unlikely to fade. New events will create new headlines. New debates will emerge. New interpretations will spread across media platforms. Yet Sophie's enduring image will probably remain much the same, a figure associated with calmness, duty, and measured restraint. Whether history ultimately views that approach as the right one is for future generations to decide. For now, it continues shaping how millions of people understand one of the world's most famous families. And in that sense, Sophie may never need to truly break her silence at all. Her story, her actions, and her example have already been speaking for years.